All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Course Consultant Show. I am live here with a very special guest. I'm so excited to bring on Sharon Murray, and I'm very excited to talk all about this specific topic, landing more clients on LinkedIn. This is perfect for you if you're a consultant, coach, or service provider who's trying to expand their clientele base, right? It's the new year. We're ready to get more sales into our business and really work with businesses and or individuals to really grow. And so today, I'm so excited to talk about this topic. LinkedIn is not always looked at as a great lead source, and so it's so important to look at diversifying our marketing campaigns and building our businesses with new dream clients. So thank you so much for being on today's show. I'm so excited to have you on. Could you just share a little bit more about your background and experience with LinkedIn?
Hi, Melody. Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to be on here today. So my name's Sharon Murray, as Melody said, and I am in beautiful Northern Ireland. Although it's dark at the minute because it's 5:30 at night here, but it was a lovely sunny day actually, which was great. So I am 53. I'm a single mum to Lucy and Jack. They're both at university now. So I'm an empty nester, which is quite strange. I'm getting my head around that. My background was always in admin, PA, office management work, and I decided at 51 to become a virtual assistant. And as a virtual assistant, the first thing everybody said is, "Oh, so you need to be on LinkedIn." And I really didn't know a lot about it at all, and wanted to run away and hide at the thought of being on LinkedIn because it looked incredibly serious and intellectual. And I thought, oh no, this is not me at all. Um, but I did know that was where I needed to be. So I plucked up the courage, went on to LinkedIn, and used it really successfully for my virtual assistant business, which I focused mainly on transcription and proofreading work. So I was able to connect with a lot of consultants, or sorry, journalists, and people in PR and media. And I really started to see how LinkedIn could be used as a really brilliant platform for that type of business. And um, then people started to ask me to do some LinkedIn for them. And then the pandemic hit, and everybody decided that they wanted to be on LinkedIn, which was brilliant for my business. So that was when I made the decision then to end any of the virtual assistant work that I have been doing, and I went fully into LinkedIn coaching. So that was in May 2020. I keep forgetting we're in 2022 now. Um, so that's what I've been doing. So I work with, as you say, service-based business owners. Mainly, they come from coaching backgrounds or financial services or training backgrounds. Um, and really, what I do is I work through a full process, and it all starts as most things do with the clarity. It's very, very important that you are really clear on what it is you want to achieve by being on LinkedIn and what you're bringing to the table, because some people have multiple businesses or they have multiple offers within their business. And it's, if you can get it targeted as much as you can down to one offer is great. If that is a very high end, high ticket offer that you have, which is definitely more relevant to the LinkedIn audience, and you might have a lower ticket one which you feel is more Facebook related. And that's a lovely position to be in because it's nice and clear and black and white as to what exactly it is that you're doing. So that's the first important bit, is what exactly am I going on to LinkedIn to talk about? Who am I talking to? And how do I want to be known on the platform? Where am I placing myself? So that's the first part. And that's really how we develop a profile, because the profile hangs on that clarity, it hangs on that message. Um, this is, I understand this is what you're struggling with, this is how I can help you, and this is how I can make a difference in your business or in your life. And it's really important that you don't write your profile like a CV, which I have done. I've made all the mistakes, everybody does it. But the bottom line is your audience really aren't that interested in you and your background. They want to know, can you help me with this problem that I have? And I understand a lot of people have profiles from when they were in corporate jobs, and it had to be written in that way. But for a business owner who's using LinkedIn to attract ideal clients, you actually almost have to do the reverse of that and strip that right back. And once you have that done and you feel that you've really got across and showcased your message, then you move on to the connection piece. And it might be a case of removing people who, again, you have maybe built up from a different time when you were in a job or had a different business. Consider just sifting through and taking out people that you don't think would bring any relevance or value to your network anymore,
Hmm.
and then bring in some fresh people.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's when you move into the content piece. A lot of people go on to LinkedIn and immediately go, I have to post, I have to post. But they haven't thought through what it is they want to say, who they're saying it to, what sort of content does their audience like to read, and do a bit of research around that. And that's where I find people struggle when they say that they're not getting engagement. And when I look back, it's because they haven't really got that clarity piece nailed initially and built on that. Um, and I'm a big fan of stalking on LinkedIn. I stalk everybody on LinkedIn. I
Healthy
call it
stalking.
I call it research, but
Right.
really it's stalking. And I do tell my clients to stalk, and I say go and look at people who do exactly the same thing as you. Look at what they're putting out there. Look at the engagement they're getting and what is resonating with people and resonating with your audience. And don't be afraid to use that to get ideas. Obviously, we're not stealing anything from anybody, but we just want to look at what's working, what's not working. And it's the same with profiles. Look at profiles of people who do the same thing as you. It's much easier to look at that from an objective viewpoint and think, if I read that profile, would that make me want to reach out to that person? Yes, because they've said X, Y, and Z. I'll try that in mine, or no, because I don't like how they've done this, so I'll make sure not to do that in mine. And I think it's a useful exercise because we're not just as good at critiquing our own work, but we're brilliant at doing it with other people's. Um, and that's really the process that I work through. It's called clarity, connection, content, and it just follows that strategy. And I've found over the time that I've been doing this, and every time I run a program, it does evolve, and I learn more, and I learn a lot from my clients as well, and their needs. Um, and this is the formula I'm finding is working over and over and over again. And I'm very much about really speaking from your heart, really embracing the platform, and being you and not being afraid to be you, and not watching what everybody else is doing and worrying about what people are going to think. Um, because in fairness, most people are just caught up in their own little worlds, and they're not really thinking about you just as much as you think that they are. Um, so don't feel like you're going to be judged on it. Just get out there, and if you've been avoiding it, just dip your toe in and give it a go. It has changed a lot over the last 2 years. So if you're remembering it from maybe a lot of time ago, you might find it's a very different place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's my
Yeah.
little story.
Yeah, so Sharon, I love all of the different things you said. I want to go back a little bit more about what you just said, which is for those of you who are watching live on YouTube, Facebook, or here on LinkedIn, when LinkedIn, 5 years ago is very different from LinkedIn today. And so I was just chatting with a group of folks who are in a group coaching program, and we were saying, LinkedIn is different, right, from Facebook. The people that are on that platform are different. Maybe there's some crossover there, but I know that one of the things I've noticed recently is, how LinkedIn's changing to adapt to a newer workforce and the types of content. Now they've also have a content creator program, I believe, and I really love that as someone who has primarily, for the last several years, built her business on Facebook, that LinkedIn has really started to see that the tone and what kinds of content are being curated on that platform needed to be evolved. And obviously, if we look at comparing some platforms between Facebook and LinkedIn, there are some differences. So could you talk a little bit more about, let's say there's a coach or consultant out there like me who previously has really been active on other platforms like Facebook to make connections, build out referral bases, even make sales and book clients. What would be the key differences in posting on let's say a Facebook group versus posting on a profile on LinkedIn?
Um, when I'm talking about content in my training programs, I always talk about it very much from a storytelling perspective. And LinkedIn does love long posts, um, and it loves stories, whether they be personal stories or business stories. And storytelling to me is something that can be learned. It is a skill that can be learned. I think people panic and think, oh no, I could never do that. I'm really bad at things like that. And it won't happen overnight. But it's if you're able to weave value and information into a story, that's what LinkedIn loves more than anything. But one of the really key parts of LinkedIn is engaging in other people's posts is so important. And I think that's what makes it quite different. Um, is the algorithm really recognizes if you are a person that is participating in other people's content and having those conversations, and that helps to distribute your content further as well. But for me, definitely the key difference is I would put very much more shorter, more maybe visual posts on Facebook. LinkedIn for me is much more text based, but can be still quite light and doesn't have to be very serious. But um, but it can be more from a storytelling. For me, it's almost like my diary, and I am not um, worried about what I put. I wear my heart in my sleeve, and I put out stuff on LinkedIn. I put everything on LinkedIn, um, and I made that conscious decision to do that. And I understand that does not sit comfortably with some people, and I never, when I'm working with people, I would never ask anybody to put out anything that they did not feel comfortable with or that they felt was maybe leaving them vulnerable in some way. You can still talk about things outside of your business, like hobbies and interests, without going down a route of maybe particular personal challenges that you've been through that you maybe don't want to share. But I do use it from a very informal, chatty perspective. And I say to my clients, just type as if you're talking to your friend in a coffee shop. That's what people want to see. And people on LinkedIn really crave those sorts of posts because I think they've just got a bit fed up with seeing the same, as I call them, grey suit posts. And this, they just get lost in a sea of all the same type of quite textbook content. And then suddenly, when somebody is there and they open up and they're much more personable, that really stands out and it really resonates with people. So that for me would be the difference.
Yes, and I think that that's something that I've noticed more recently too is that there are, companies and businesses that are really open, and having that presence there on LinkedIn helps to boost the conversation, right? Because it's, if we go back to simple selling, right? That's really all it is let's start a conversation. And it doesn't always land in a sale, but it might land in a new connection, a new referral, a new great contact at an organization or a small business owner or another consultant. And I think that with this great resignation that's happened is that more people are flocking to either build a new business or to reframe the business that they had to attract better talent and to really work with individuals who they can really see helping the end outcome that they're seeking. And so as a customer success manager and someone who really helps people with the curriculum design, I've started to look and see, okay, I don't have to show, okay, here's this, here's my 4-step process in which I share with you X, Y, and Z, and started talking more about what I am really passionate about and the topics that really spark my interest. And what's great about LinkedIn, the algorithm is feeding me more, and I'm starting to dig more into how to use hashtags, and there's just so much depth of content. Now, Sharon, I know you have an excellent program, and here at the Course Consultant Show, we love talking about group coaching programs, courses, and memberships. And so, could you tell us a little bit more about what your cohort does and what you specifically teach on?
Yeah, so I have two programs. I have one that I've just created, which is called LinkedIn Made Easy, exactly what it says on the tin. So it's 8 weeks. It's pre-recorded videos and then live Q&As, and it follows that formula, that clarity, connection, content formula. It works through why do you do what you do, what inspires you, what brought you to this point in your business, your values, all those things that people can really grab hold of and take into their heart and really feel that connection with you. And then we go through like a storyboard. I don't know if anybody's aware of a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is one of my favorite books. And I've now started to use that framework as part of my program. So we talk about the customer journey and how the problem is seen as the villain and how does the hero overcome this. And it has worked really, really well. People really love the idea of it. And as I say, then that formulates into the profile. We look at connections and how to build much more around quality rather than quantity, and not getting caught up in numbers and vanity metrics, and then moving into the content phase where I do look a lot around storytelling, hashtags, as you mentioned, headlines, which to me are very, very key. It's why we buy a lot of things and why we open emails, lift a newspaper, is because of headlines, and it's how we can get people to stop scrolling in that feed of 130,000 posts a week. Why should somebody stop on yours? So that's the essence of the 8 week. I do a 12-week VIP one-to-one, which follows the same process, but obviously goes a lot deeper because it's that one-to-one bespoke and tailored coaching. And it flows more around the actual person's business goals and how we can weave the program into their goals that they'll get them quicker to the results that they want. But I think it's very important, something that you said there, Melody, and something that I really want to stress. Please don't go on to LinkedIn with the idea of, I need to get clients from this platform, because that's not how it works. It is a networking platform. It is not a sales platform. And I think this is why people sometimes do get a bit frustrated with it and a bit fed up with it, because they think they're going to go on and their business is just going to turn around really quickly. But it's a slow burner. You need to build those really genuine relationships. It will open up masses of opportunities, and yes, it would be lovely to have that outcome of leads and clients, but don't go on with that money mindset and being driven by, I need to get clients from that platform. I mean, you would never turn up to a networking event and think, I need to get clients from this networking event. So don't turn up on the platform with that same mindset.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I want to share with everyone is that there is a good balance, right? Between, I mean, how many of you who are watching this show, comment below if you're watching this live or watching the replay, have gotten that icky cold message prospect on LinkedIn or on Facebook DMs where someone's like, I'm going to share with you, just go on this 30-minute clarity call. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't even know you, first of all. I have no idea what your business is about, nor have you even done the research to understand what I do. Therefore, this is clearly a copy and paste script template. And so absolutely advocate for what you're talking about, building that network and growing. And that's really what business is all about. It's about creating customer centricity and building relationships. And so when I talk about this on my podcast, I talk so much about the customer experience, and I share about how to think through what that process looks like. I am holding an event coming up in Phoenix, Arizona in March, and it's all about just a meetup, right? So I'm going to talk about what I do, obviously, but sometimes I've hired people from connections that I have through previous events or through networking. I've helped and connected with people and they've gone on my podcast. Sometimes they go on and purchase from me. And so thinking about the services that you have and the product lineup that you have, this will determine the network connections that will be mutually beneficial. I was just chatting with someone recently about finding partnerships that are aligned with what you are offering in your business. And so oftentimes we sometimes will just grab whatever shots are available, but they may not always be the best connection. They may not always put you in front of the people that could be customers or could be buyers. And so while I think sales are great and marketing is absolutely essential in any business, it's important to think about it as a human being, right? You were talking about being a mom and, being honest, and I'm adopting my first child through adoption agency. There's, I talk about that a lot, and I'm on my Facebook profile and I talk about my adoption, and to not shy away with that from that if you are wanting to share. And honestly, a lot of the viral posts I've been seeing on LinkedIn are so incredibly story based about overcoming adversity and sharing a valuable celebration or sharing something that's a little bit uncomfortable, a loss, a failure, a learning from that. And so I think if we're thinking about, yes, landing more clients, but it doesn't always happen, in that process step by step, we have to understand the lifetime value of a customer, the lifetime journey of the customer. And it's so important to help map that process out on the customer journey. So fabulous. I love talking about this with you. It lights me up. I'm so excited. But I know you were talking about the different offers that you have. And I know that actually what originally attracted me to your profile and what you've been talking about is the stories that you have shared about the lessons and the big wins that your customers share. Now, obviously, everyone's going to be different. There's not going to be this is exactly what's going to happen situation. But tell me a little bit more about what has been an incredible story and a win for your clients recently.
Oh gosh, I have one incredible client who has been with me now for nearly a year. She came to me with no knowledge of LinkedIn at all. We've now become best friends. I had the great opportunity of meeting her. She lives in Scotland, and she has just so embraced the whole platform, built up an incredible community of people. She's a big advocate for mental health. She's actually a life coach, but she has ended up actually going off on a tangent from that because of what has happened on LinkedIn. She has now been asked to be a radio presenter on a new radio station, an online one called Smile, which is all about dealing with mental health issues and different things like that. And it was because somebody came across her on LinkedIn and the content that she was putting out. So that's been a really big thing for her. She now has a regular slot on that, and she has just made such incredible connection. She's opened up massive opportunities for herself because she went on it um, with that open heart to just take on board whatever was going to come her way. And I think that has been for me such an incredible journey to watch. Yes, I have had clients who have come to me, have worked with me, and then they have got clients, which is lovely. But Chantal's particular story really, really touches me. And she has been able to connect with people who she's been able to interview on her radio station all through LinkedIn. She has raised a lot of money for mental health, again, through connections that she has made. And I just love watching her grow. I've learned as much from her probably as she has learned from me. So that's probably one of my really the story that really lights me up the most. And that's, yeah, if I could have 10 more of her, I would be very happy.
Isn't that great? What a wonderful story. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
she's lovely.
So I love the story that you shared about making a difference, not just in the connections and yes, landing more clients, but also really showcasing the expertise, the experience, making more valuable connections has been just so valuable. So what is it? if someone were to say, I need more of this, I want to get more familiar with LinkedIn, I'm ready to take that next step to open myself up to more opportunities using LinkedIn, how can people get in touch with you or get connected to what you're doing?
Um, Funnily enough, on LinkedIn is actually the best way. If you want to send me a connection request on LinkedIn, please just put a little note in with it saying that you have seen me on this podcast or wherever, just so I know, just so I don't accidentally reject you and think, no, I don't know this person. So please say how you know me, just because I'm quite selective as to who I bring into my world. So that would be amazing. I am also on Facebook, but LinkedIn is definitely the best place to find me. Please go and check out my profile, go and check out my content. Some really mad, crazy stuff on it, some slightly more serious stuff on it. But it's just me, and yeah, it would be just amazing to hear from all of you. And I want to see many, many more women on LinkedIn.
Yes.
People say it's a male dominated platform. The statistics actually show that it's almost half and half, amazingly, but we need to stand out more on it. And I'm on a real mission. I want to see women on there. I want to see women opening up, talking, and not being afraid to say what they want to say. And I could go on about that for a long time, but I'll be quiet now. But it's I'm really passionate about it. So let's do this, and let's get on to LinkedIn.
Yes, let's get onto LinkedIn. All right, well, if you're watching this episode or grabbing the replay, please do click the link in the description, whether on LinkedIn or wherever you're streaming, because I'd have added the link to your profile. And please do add the Course Consultant Show or Melody into the little note for the message to connect. If you're brand new to LinkedIn, just check out all the amazing stuff that Shannon's up to. Hey, and if you're listening to this show and you're thinking to yourself, wow, a cohort, a membership, a group program, I have one, I'm looking for a refinement, or I just need some special eyes on my curriculum, please do come and join me inside my Facebook group. If you're not into Facebook, I am here on LinkedIn as well. You can join me. I have free weekly office hours every single Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If that's too early, too late for you, depending on where you are in the world, please do reach out to me. I do post updates and special trainings, and I always like to answer questions about curriculum design and customer success. Well, that's it for today's training. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. It's been such a pleasure having you on today's episode.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.